So welcome to Western, virtually, of course. I really wish you could be on our campus in person. We love to show off our campus community, especially to folks who haven't been to campus before. But the beauty of a virtual event is we get to connect with colleagues from around the state that maybe wouldn't be able to make the trip to Bellingham. So we have 67 people who registered, and I'm sure folks will continue to trickle in and join us as we get started here. My name is Jeanne Gaffney. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at Western. I got my start in higher education at Bellingham Technical College about 25 years ago, and I've worked at Western for over 21 years. My responsibilities have changed a little bit during that time, but central to all of that has been my connection in serving transfer students and working with community colleges and transfer advisors. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that Western's Bellingham campus rests on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish people who, throughout the Salish Sea Basin, throughout the San Juan Islands, and the North Cascades watershed from time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our Indigenous neighbors, the Lummi Nation and Nooksack tribe, for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. So here is an agenda of what we'll be covering today. I will be providing campus updates and an overview of the admissions process for transfer students. I'm touching on running start students as I can. My colleague, Megan Bryson, the newly appointed director of the Academic Advising and Student Achievement Center, will be providing information about transfer advising at Western and how you and your students can connect with information about the advising process in our majors and programs of study here at Western. Then we'll pivot to a Q&A panel on supporting student success. And we have a number of guests who really, it's just going to be an open format for you to learn more about the programs and support services that we do offer students. We will have our Assistant Vice President for Access, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Executive Director of Student Success Initiatives, the Director of the Disability Access Center, a mental health therapist from our Counseling and Wellness Center, and the Director of our Veteran Services Office attending that Q&A panel. After a brief break, you'll come back and select between two college breakout sessions. We will run 2 sessions concurrently, and again, we will record those and make them available since clearly you can't be in 2 places at once. At 12:30, we'll have a quick wrap up and just kind of close out with next steps and any remaining questions that you may have. I just want to make a quick note that the Woodring College of Education breakout session will include folks from teacher education, as well as our RN to BSN program and our human services program. And then the last wrap up at 12 will include sort of an open ask an advisor session. And so I will be attending that if there are any loose ends or questions that you want to ask. I also have a colleague coming from our Academic Advising and Student Achievement Center who will be here to answer advising related questions as well. So I know some of you are quite familiar with Western and some of you really are learning about Western for the first time. So a little bit about who Western is. We are the 3rd largest college in Washington State. We currently have about 15,000 total students. And there are 7 colleges that host our programs. They are the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, College of Science and Technology, Woodring College of Education, College of Fine and Performing Arts, College of Business and Economics, College of the Environment, and Fairhaven College of Interdisciplinary Studies. We have 175 majors and over 200 academic programs offered primarily on our Bellingham campus, but we offer programs in various locations across the peninsula, as around other places in the Puget Sound region. So we have campuses in Bremerton, Everett, Kirkland, Port Angeles, Paulsbo, and 1 online program offered, which is our Human Services Distance Education program. You'll see that the average class size and student to faculty ratio is not so uncommon to what your students might be experiencing on your campuses. So we offer a pretty small class size experience. That's an average. So as your students come into the major and are taking classes at the junior and senior level, those are smaller classes typically than the intro survey classes that we would offer typically to 1st and 2nd year students. Classes within our location programs offered are typically smaller. They're really oriented to serve non-traditional learners in the communities that we serve, and they have an average class size of about 20. And then our programs are increasingly interdisciplinary. I think that's important to note. We have our Fairhaven College of Interdisciplinary Studies, but we also have a lot of programs, and I think a growing number of programs that sort of cross disciplines. They include business and sustainability, philosophy, politics, and economics, the Institute for Energy Studies, our Science, Math, and Technology Education program, SMEET, and manufacturing and supply chain management, just to give you a few examples. Here is a list of our location programs and contacts to give you a sense of the programs that we offer at various locations outside of the Bellingham area. And I also want to draw your attention to the cybersecurity program in particular. With the exception of natural resource management, these majors are also offered in some form on our Bellingham campus. But the cybersecurity program is unique in that students' preparation for that requires that they complete an articulated degree from a number of Puget Sound area community college partners. So that list is growing, but we offer that cybersecurity program in Paulsbo, in Kirkland, and also in Bellingham. And again, that's one, in order to take advantage of that program, students do need to first complete an approved associate's degree, typically in AAST, at one of the partner community colleges. And I'm happy to provide a list of those if folks are interested in learning more. So what can your students expect from Western? Western is predominantly an undergraduate institution. 93% of the students attending Western are earning their first degree, and there's a lot of opportunities to engage them in their learning both inside and outside the classroom. We have grants available to support them in engaging in research. We have opportunities for internships. We have over 7 journals people can write for, whether that's an environmental journal, a science journal, or a literary journal, or the newspaper. We have students who are engaging in artistic productions, regardless of major. They can participate in our musical theater or dance productions. They can build electric cars with our WWU Racing Club. So a lot of opportunities for students to really dig in and learn while they're experiencing the academic programs at Western as well. The Survey of Earned Doctorates has Western listed in the top 3% of undergraduate institutions whose graduates go on to earn research doctorates. And I think that's very telling about the experience that students get at the undergraduate level that help propel them into those graduate programs and successful PhD candidates. Western really is committed to community health and personal well-being of our students. We've adopted the Okanagan Charter, which is a commitment to embed health into all aspects of our campus culture. And we've added new Black identified, Indigenous, and LGBTQ mental health practitioners. And a lot of those professionals are embedded in our multicultural center so that students can access professional assistance and guidance where they are, literally, rather than having to seek it out in a particular building or area of campus that they just might not kind of cross their path in their typical day. Western has a deep and long-lasting commitment to environmental sustainability. We have the first environmental college in the nation that was founded in 1969, and we are working towards carbon neutrality. A lot of our initiatives around climate change and sustainability have been the result of student-led initiatives. We receive 100% of our energy from wind power, which was spearheaded by a student-led initiative. All of students receive free bus passes. If you walked across campus, you would see solar panels on many of our buildings and solar windows that were designed here at Western and are now being produced locally with a patent. Western has long attracted change makers who are committed to social justice. We have routinely been a top producer of Peace Corps volunteers, and the Center for Law, Diversity, and Justice at Fairhaven College provides an interdisciplinary approach to law, diversity, and access to the legal system for underserved communities. We have a welcoming campus culture. I read a lot of transfer essays, as you might imagine, and especially from students who've attended other four-year schools who are then interested in transferring to Western. They often talk about the welcome that they receive at Western. And usually that takes the form of, I visited a friend or a neighbor or a former colleague on Western's campus, and I couldn't believe how friendly it was. I felt so welcome. I loved the feel of it. And now I want to transfer to Western. We have over 250 clubs. We don't have a Greek system. And when students are every once in a while talking about having a Greek system, it overwhelmingly gets turned down because I just think our culture is such that we want everyone to feel welcome and there's a place for everyone. And that's just not something that's been a part of Western's culture traditionally. We are at this point in time a predominantly white institution, and we really strive to be welcoming to everyone. We're in the process of engaging in year-long listening sessions so that we can ensure that all students feel welcome and seen on our campus and that their reality is matching our intentions. Lastly, Western's Bellingham campus is situated in an amazing location. We attract a lot of students who are interested in recreational opportunities, whether that's snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking, walking on the miles of trail systems. But the location also lends itself to a lot of opportunities to engage in the outdoors in an academic setting. So we've got Mount Baker 55 miles away, that's a volcanic mountain. We've got creeks, rivers, a lot of waterways, and we're situated right on Bellingham Bay. A snapshot of Western students for fall. We have about 926 new transfer students. That includes the Bellingham campus as well as folks in our location programs. The majority transferred from a Washington State Community College, and they have an average GPA of 3.32. You can see there, most students are transferring an average of 85 credits. It's a little higher if you just look at two-year college transfers. It's almost 88 credits. And we've got currently about 23% of our students are transfer students currently enrolled, but 35% of our graduates in the last year were transfer students. So you can see as your enrollment has declined, the percentage of students who are coming to us as two-year transfer students is also declining, but we are a very welcoming place for transfer students. Folks often want to know what are the top academic interests of transfer students. When students apply, we ask them to share one or two academic interests, and these are the most popular academic interests of transfer students. First year is quite similar. Actually, over 25% of our first year students choose one of the top four majors: computer science, biology, business, and undecided. We see a lot less undecided students at the transfer level than we do in the first year level, of course. We conduct a lot of longitudinal studies of our students, starting when they first come to Western for advising and orientation and all the way through their tenure at Western. And we ask a lot of questions of them, but one of them is the factors that influence their decision to attend. So what our transfer students tell us are the factors that were either somewhat important, or very important, are that Western has a good academic reputation, or that we had the program that they were interested in. Size factors into it a lot. The size of Western is often, when I read essays, I hear about sort of the Goldilocks experience for students. They maybe have toured a campus elsewhere and felt like it was too large for their personal taste. And then they may have toured another campus they felt was too small. And then they tour Western and they're like, oh, it's just right. It takes 10 minutes to walk from one end of the campus to the other. There's a lot going on. So the size of our campus and the size of Bellingham also factor pretty significantly into students' decision-making, as are opportunities for recreation and to get involved in artistic endeavors and other social events. Of course, affordability is an important consideration as well, and that did weigh into students' decision as far as affordability and Western's offering of financial assistance to help them support their educational goals. Folks always want to hear about new programs. We haven't had as many in the last couple of years as I think is custom with the pandemic. And these are the programs that we've primarily added in the last 2 years, which is the last time we've done this workshop. So I won't read those all to you, but to highlight a couple, we've added some additional concentrations in our electrical and computer engineering Bachelor of Science degree. We added the new natural resource management degree at our location programs, and there's a couple new graduate programs as well. We've also added many new minors, and they're a great way for students to supplement their academic experience in pretty unique ways. We have some name changes as well. Most of them are in the College of Woodring and Education in terms of changing their department names and some titles of programs. And then we also have a college that was renamed as a result of a Board of Trustees vote in 2021, excuse me. So for those of you who have been around a while, I mentioned that Western has the first environmental college in the nation that was founded in 1969 as Huxley College of the Environment. And the Board of Trustees changed the name in 2021 to be called just the College of the Environment. Some of us still slip up that have been around a while, but we no longer use Huxley in the title of that college. And then the polymer materials engineering is the new name for what used to be called our plastics and composites engineering degree within the Department of Engineering and Design. We have some new learning spaces as well. We have finished our interdisciplinary science building. That provides additional classrooms and labs for a number of the science programs at Western, including our marine and coastal science program. We have separate buildings for biology, chemistry, and environmental science, but this interdisciplinary science building supplements that growing demand for STEM fields at Western. And then this building is not finished yet, but we will be completing Kaiser Borsari Hall, which is Washington's first carbon net neutral collegiate building, which we're very excited about. And that will increase student capacity in electrical engineering, computer science, and energy science. We also have some new non-academic spaces that we're very excited about. Alma Clark Glass Hall, it was named after the first Black woman to attend Western in 1906 and is the home of our Black affinity housing on campus. We also have Pride affinity housing elsewhere on campus. For those of you familiar with Western or maybe Western alum, Alma Clark Glass Hall is built on the former site of Highland Hall. So it's on the ridge, which is one of 3 areas, residential areas on campus. And then we have a relatively new multicultural center. I know the multicultural center isn't technically a living space, but students often tell us it's a home away from home. So I am including it here. It was developed and designed with significant student input and houses, our 19 ethnic student center clubs, as well as our Blue Resource Center, the LGBTQ plus Western, the Black and Brown Male Success Collective, and many, many more. This is a space where I mentioned that advisors are often have times scheduled to connect with students in their space. A few important transfer policies I think it's wise for you to be informed about that may differ from other institutions. So Western accepts up to 105 lower division credits. So we know that the associate's degree is 90 credits, but we often have students who are bringing additional credits, either that they earned prior to attending your institution or after. And we will accept up to 105, 100, and 200 level credits and up to 135 total if students also have upper division coursework. Students who have a DTA and transfer to Western come in with junior standing. They have 90 credits and all of the general education requirements are complete as long as students meet our English proviso. So that is Western's one additional requirement outside of the format of the traditional DTA. Students must complete English composition with a C- or better, or earn an AP score of 4 or higher on either the English literature or language exams. Students who are transferring to Western with an Associate of Science transfer degree, we have an arrangement with them where they just need 3 additional courses to complete Western's GUR. And they're contacted by the registrar's office and we connect with them so that they complete an additional comparative gender and comparative gender and multicultural class, either a communications class and either one additional humanities or social science class to complete our GUR. And then we have a great reverse transfer program. I know reverse transfer is something that is offered at all public and probably most public baccalaureate institutions, but we're very proactive in the outreach that we do to students. So during students' first quarter of enrollment, if they have at least 60 credits total and they have at least 20 credits in residence at a single community college, we reach out to them and we encourage them to connect with an academic advisor in our Academic Advising and Student Achievement Center. About 1/3 of students who receive that communication do follow up, and then they make an informed decision about whether or not they want to reach back out and complete the reverse transfer process to earn their degree retroactively, or if they just want to stay on track to earn Western's GUR. And lastly, I want to let you know about our veteran tuition waiver. So if veterans exhaust their educational benefits while they're attending Western, they can continue on their degree path with 100% of tuition and fees waived, as long as the courses taken remain state funded, which they are on the Bellingham campus and increasingly in our location programs, and the veteran has completed at least 25 credits at Western. So pivoting a little bit to talk about admission requirements. We have no new requirements for transfer or first year admission. So we define a transfer student at Western as a student who has attempted college credit after high school graduation. So students who are participating in dual enrollment programs like college and the high school or Running Start are considered first year students for admissions and application purposes, even if they're coming with a DTA. So what's required for a transfer student to apply is the application for admission, $70 application fee, or they can request to have that waived. We ask for some information about EFC, family size, employment, those sorts of things in order to make the decision to waive an application fee. We require official transcripts from all colleges a student has attended. If a student has a cumulative college GPA below a 3.0, we will require an essay. Students who have a GPA above a 3.0 do not need to submit an essay, although we welcome that and encourage that if they'd like to be considered for scholarships. And then the minimum GPA for admissions consideration is a 2.0. Students who are coming with less than 40 college credits are also required to meet high school requirements, first year admission requirements, in terms of submitting us an official high school transcript with their graduation date and meeting CATRs. First year requirements, we do accept the common application for first year and Running Start students. We don't for transfer students. They can upload unofficial high school transcripts, and we require an essay and activities list for first year students. Important note that we don't require students to send official college transcripts as part of the first year application process, but they do need to request those and have them sent before we can award college credit. International students must meet the same requirements as our first year or transfer students, depending on their student type, and also then provide evidence of English proficiency. For students coming from a community college, that is largely demonstrated with B or higher grades into English composition courses, but we do accept several exams as well, including the SAT, although again, we're test optional for all students. The considerations as we do our holistic review of either first year or transfer applications are quite similar. So cumulative academic performance is the most important consideration. What courses have a student taken? Have they done well in them? We'll also look at grade trends. So we might see a student that doesn't have a very strong cumulative grade point average, but has bolstered their grades and made improvements over time, or made improvements in those key courses that might be relevant to their academic goals. Preparation for intended major is also a consideration. We do not admit to major at Western, but we do want students to be prepared for their major so that they are making solid time to degree, and so it doesn't negatively impact the accessibility of classes at the 100 and 200 level that are already in high demand with our current students. The essays can provide key information about contributions students have made to their community, their diverse experiences and perspectives. And then we also will give preference to students who either have completed or who plan to complete a DTA or an AST prior to enrolling at Western. Our application deadlines have not changed, so if you're familiar with them, those are the same. What has changed, however, is our FAFSA and WASFA priority filing date for this year. As you probably heard, there are changes with the simplified FAFSA, and the FAFSA and WASFA will not be made available to students until sometime in December of this year. Our priority filing date for financial aid has traditionally been January 31st, but given the shorter timeline this year, we are bumping that out to February 28th, even though I know it's a leap year and they actually have an extra day in February. The applicant timeline, kind of what it looks like from a student perspective, is that they submit application and supporting materials to Western, and then they're granted access to their student portal. That allows us to communicate with students about any items that may be missing, Students can go in, they'll have a personalized checklist of required items, and they can go in and find out whether those requirements have been fulfilled. That can be really helpful if a student requests a transcript, but for some reason we don't get it, and they can connect and see what requirements are missing. We've got the decision notification that comes in many forms to students. They will receive an SMS, a text message, if they've opted into text messaging, once there is a decision in their portal. We will also email them a congratulatory offer of admission if they are admitted, and we will also send offer of admissions, including admit packets and all kinds of fun goodies if again, they are admitted. Financial aid notification happens after that point, and then at some point, we expect students to confirm their enrollment by telling us they intend to enroll at Western. And that kicks off a whole bunch of next steps, most of which are on the student to complete, but then we'll also give students their transfer equivalency report at that point in time. To share a little bit about transfer student admit rates. If there's one thing you take away from this meeting, I hope it's that Western admits a lot of students. Students have a much higher chance of being admitted to Western than they do being denied. So we're admitting about 75% of our students who apply as transfer students. And I also want to talk about the deadlines. The deadlines are deadlines, but they're really treated more like priority dates. And you can see here that we have a lot of students who applied after the deadline, and they're admitted at almost as strong of a rate. So please let your students know that we are very welcoming of transfer students, and they can apply hopefully in time, but even after the deadline. I also wanted to share a little bit more about the GPA distribution of our admitted students. So Western has a long history. We have earned a reputation, rightly so, as having a very strong academic experience at Western, but you do not need a 3.5 to be admitted to Western. You do not need a 3.0 to be admitted to Western. So although we admit about 75% of our transfer applicants, we admit 80% whose GPA is between a 2.51 and a 3.0, and over 60% with a GPA between a 2.26 and a 2.5. So this is where the holistic review comes in, that we can consider other factors besides just GPA. And I think it's really important to share that with students. Now, if you have students who are kind of on the lower end of the spectrum, I really encourage you to have them reach out to us to have a conversation. $70 is not a small amount of money, and we're happy to provide some advising and insight to students before they apply. If they're kind of borderline and they want some assurance or some insight into the likelihood that they might be admitted. Recommendations for transfer students, and I know Megan will provide a lot more in her session on transfer advising, but we really want students to explore and identify their academic interests. We know you do a lot of work with students with guided pathways and pathway programs to help them along their path, but the sooner they can make those decisions, the better off they will be and the better course choices they can make in preparation for transfer. So they'll need to review the major requirements, and Megan will cover all the ways they can do that. Our transfer course equivalency guide is our crosswalk of classes that are offered at your schools and Western and the equivalent courses. The lookup tool works both ways. So a student can take a class, a course number at, say, Whatcom Community College, put it in the database and find out how that course will transfer to Western before they have applied and gotten their personal transfer equivalency reports. And likewise, if they're looking at a program of study and they see, okay, Western requires Economics 206, what is that at my school? They can use the reverse and identify that course. Important note is that the transfer course equivalency guide is historically cumulative. And so if students do the reverse lookup, they might see the course that was offered 10 years ago, as well as the course that's currently offered. And so that's just an important thing for students to know as well, that they might see courses and they'll be like, well, here's the course that Western says is equivalent. I can't find it in our college catalog. Well, because it might not be currently offered. We encourage students to complete college level math and English before they apply so that we have those foundation courses and grades to consider. We encourage students to reach out to academic departments. It's absolutely fine to do that. Our departments love to connect with students, and they would much rather help a student make a right choice around a course requirement than to talk to them after they've enrolled at Western and realized, oh, I took too many of these classes, or I'm going to have to repeat this course for whatever reason. And then lastly, a recommendation is to visit campus. So our campus speaks for itself in terms of its welcoming and beauty. So I think it's great if students can come to campus and we have group visit programs if you're able to bring your students to campus, but students can also sign up for any number of programs, including a campus tour, preview days, and an admitted student days, and connect with campus in those ways. If you have a course that needs to be reviewed for the transfer course equivalency guide, you can send it to me. We also have an inbox that's specifically set up for that. Lastly, I want to let you know that our council resource page will be updated with materials from the Transfer Advisors Workshop. We'll have materials there as well as recordings of the presentations. This is a great resource for you to connect at any time. It will give you a list of who the counselor is, who's assigned to your college. It provides links to important information about our academic programs and deadlines. It has a place to sign up for group visits and sign up for our mailing list, among other things. That picture there, the final one, is our president, Sabah Randawa, we have an event where we take students during the first week before classes start, and they march from campus down to downtown Bellingham. It's called First Night Out, and that is Sabah this year with his megaphone, trying to get folks gathered up in Red Square and headed down to Bellingham. We will send an email when all of our documents and presentations have been uploaded to the Council Resources page, and that way you'll know that they are ready. Lastly, I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to now turn things over to my colleague, Megan Bryson, who will talk about transfer student advising at Western. Thank you so much.